What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean 794. If you want to get all technical, what up, my glip glops? It's a head chopper of heads. Going to be joining me today. Two-time millionaire winner, of course. After Chop, we have Crunch Time coming in around 6:30 or so. Obviously, 5-game slate. We're coming on a little bit later. They have a little less to talk about, so we're going to yap for about an hour or so until we yield to Crunch Time. You got Kevin Roth holding that down, as well as Tim, TastefulTides, and I believe Taylor, TJ Zwarych, will be joining them as well. Chopper, welcome. 5-gamer. We can sort of take our time here, right? Just a 5-game slate. A lot of news in the association. My Heat traded for Terry Rozier today. We got a firing for the Bucks. Got rid of Griffin. Looks like Doc Rivers is on his way to be the coach now for Milwaukee. Lots of happenings here in the association. Still a couple weeks away from the official trade deadline until things fully get ramped up. I think it's February 7th or so, give or take. But Chop, what do you got for the people? Welcome. It's a Tuesday. It's a 5-gamer. Let's do it.
Yeah, nice little 5-gamer. Easy peasy. We'll be in and out of here pretty quick. So we got to cover other things. So I need to get your opinion on some stuff, Dean.
Okay.
Number one, I'm going to fire it away. Number one, Adrian Griffin gets fired. What do you we're not worried about who's replacing him just yet. He gets fired. What do you think?
I would think that
or like they didn't wait long enough, or
I have no idea. I mean, I would imagine this is something that they run by Giannis. Giannis is really important to the team, and they want to keep him happy. I thought the Coach Bud firing was kind of silly. It was kind of an overreaction last year. I don't know why they threw him away. Griffin, I think first head coaching job, I believe. They're 30-13. They're expected to be good. But if they think that Doc Rivers can come in and be better, then sure, because your window is only so, Milwaukee's window is going to be closing at some point. They're an older team, right? So like Brook Lopez only has so many more years. I'm not sure what the contract situation is. Not a lot of young guys. Lillard's 33 or so. It's got to happen now. So if they think they can upgrade their coach, and 30-13, that doesn't mean you're doing a great job necessarily. Doesn't mean you're doing a bad job. But I think that they did what they felt like they had to do just because they thought they could upgrade. And that's that. Well, what's your take?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I liked the Bud firing. I thought it's time, let's not waste, you can't waste years, man. In sports, it sucks to waste years, right? So, and I thought that they were kind of trending in the wrong direction. Why waste more years of Giannis's prime with Coach Bud? I didn't think that. So I was good with that one. Didn't like the hiring here, man. And when you look back on it, there was a lot of good coaches out there that could have been had in the offseason this year. And they chose what they chose. So, but props to them I'm glad they got out in front of this thing before it's too late, because you could have wasted this year. This would have been a wasted year. Had they gone into the playoffs, number 2 seed, number 3 seed, Adrian Griffin, he wasn't ready to be the head coach right now. It would have been a waste of year. Now he got a chance. Now, that takes me to the second question, though, Dean.
Well, just want to say the narrative is already set up. Like Doc Rivers going back to coach against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. Is that what you're getting to?
Well, my second question was, what do we think about if it is indeed Doc Rivers coming in here?
Yeah.
That's the question.
I mean, the thing with Doc has always been he's a great regular season coach and not a great playoff coach. And people just sort of a lot of times just sort of like play results and, one little thing here, one little thing there. I think Rivers is a fine coach. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think was he fired from Philly? I think he was fired and then he was just going to chill. And it's like, listen, I'll just hang out and see what opens up. Right. And he gets a premium spot here for him. And it's going to be fun to watch him take on Boston, and very, very likely is the Eastern Conference Finals, those two teams. But I also think like our opinion on coaches, the dude in the couch, like certainly you can look at like some things and there's some numbers you can dig into and all that. But, a lot of us, we don't really know what we're talking about when it comes to this is a good coach, this is a bad coach. I think Rivers is a fine coach. I think Spo is the best coach in the league. There's maybe 5 coaches that matter to some degree, right? I think if you're bad, you matter too, like in the worst way, in the opposite direction. I don't think Doc's like going to actively hurt the Bucks. And like admitting your mistake, right? If they think Griffin was a mistake, they admitted it and just cut your losses and move on. And that's fine. And I think I wouldn't be like, I assume they know what they're doing. They hired the guy. It's not working out for whatever reason. And Doc is probably an upgrade. And that's that.
He's an upgrade for sure. We'll see. He's got his issues in playoff series though. So we'll see how that plays out. And then I got another one for you, Dean, before we get started. It's a small little 5-gamer. There ain't nothing going on.
People are they're losing their patience.
They're all right. Herbert Good's in the house. He's okay. What's up, Herbert? He's a friend of the show. And yeah, there's some people out there that I'm not worried about them. We'll get it. Dean, I want to know what your take is on the Josh Hader signing. What do you think? Just unbeatable bullpen now or what?
Did I miss? Is Josh Hader on the Dodgers now or something? What team is
what?
That?
The Astros signed him. Damn, Dean, where are you at, brother?
When did that happen? I missed that.
2 days ago, about 48 hours ago, the Astros signed Josh Hader.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I saw people, the season-long guys, talking about how the presumed closer is now going to be the setup man. And if you were drafting, like you basically have, a guy that's not going to get saves. That's really, really good. Yeah, I don't have I didn't know Houston got him. So I knew he went somewhere, and I just forgot. He was on, San Diego last year, I believe. Congratulations to Houston. Does he still throw 101 from the left side or whatever it is? It's so filthy.
I don't think he ever threw 101, but no, he's at about 96 now.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, he's still got that good slider. So
it looks faster than it is, though. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
And coming to the left side.
I'm excited, Dean. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Ready to rock and roll here. Ready for baseball season already. This basketball stuff is.
You're done on your Rockets, and you're excited.
I like the Rockets. That's the only thing I love watching about basketball this year is the Rockets, man. Watching their improvement and seeing if we can scrap into the play-in game. But the rest of this stuff is garbage. So
we're at the halfway point right now. I think basically every team's played about 40, 41, 42 teams or so.
Stinks, but it is what it is. Chris Kirkwood's in the chat. Kirkwood. Relax, brother. We'll be getting to DFS in a minute. And if you can't forgive Josh Hader for a few tweets a decade ago, you might be in the wrong city, brother, because Boston's not the one to be talking about racism. No offense there, Kirky, but we'll move on now.
So it's a 5-gamer tonight, Chop. No LeBron. What I was thinking about, this isn't a situation, but I thought it'd be really interesting if the Lakers just kind of jerked us around like they typically do with their injury report, and they give LeBron that fake questionable tag. Like, what if they did that again and actually sat him? It's an island game. Like, there's 4 games that are early. 4 games start between 7 and 8 o'clock. Then there's a 10 o'clock game. The Battle of Los Angeles Lakers versus the Clippers. They actually were kind enough to tell us, but there was a chance if they kept doing what they have been doing, it's just giving LeBron that nonsense questionable tag and he plays through it. But he has been officially ruled out. Therefore, the Lakers are going to be pretty popular. Not the best matchup in the world. Other things we're sort of waiting on as far as tonight. We just got it, actually, as far as Indiana. One of the things we got was Indiana, their players that were questionable are now in. Nembhard is in. Isaiah Jackson's in. If Nembhard was out, McConnell would have been more interesting. Of course, Halliburton's been rolled out for Indiana as well. The next, I think, 3 games or so. 3 games for injury management, which is a weird thing to say, but I guess they brought him back too soon, but to say it's 3 games for injury, it's a weird phrasing, but okay, that's what they want to call it. So be it. And Isaiah Hartenstein, Tibbs, he claimed another victim. He ran Hartenstein to the ground enough. Apparently, I guess he's not officially been ruled out, but it's basically been reported by the beats that Hartenstein is not going to play. He's got an Achilles. Otherwise, I think that's basically what Chris Dunn, he's questionable with an illness. That one doesn't matter a ton, I don't think. Probably would make CJ McConnell a little bit better on the other side, because Dunn's a pretty solid defender. Maybe Sexton gets a slight boost. I know even if then for it, nothing really dramatic. But it is a 5-gamer, Chop, where we have some of these teams like the Pacers and the Jazz who have some of the most unpredictable rotations. The Pacers last game, I think they played 11 dudes, but maybe 11 or 12. McConnell started the game, and he played like 15 minutes, if that. He got pulled after the first 3 minutes. The Pacers, man, they're just going to jerk you around. It's really, really hard to figure out what their rotations are. And without Halliburton, more moving pieces. But that is our first game. We'll talk about that in just a second. There's only one 7 o'clock game. That is Denver and Indiana. What else you got here, Chop? Phasing out, taking the wide shot of this slate. Some great studs. The Joker, Anthony Davis without LeBron, SGA versus Portland. They almost doubled this team up last time they played. I don't know if you remember that. Never in the history of basketball, in the history of the NBA, has a team doubled another team's score. And going into the fourth quarter, I believe they were doubling them up. They ended up winning by 60 or so because Portland had a little bit of a run there in the fourth quarter. They did not officially double them up, but it was such a disaster. And they're also the only two teams on the front end of a back-to-back tonight, Chop. Everybody else, island game. There's two teams in the front of a back-to-back. It's Portland and OKC. So if that game gets ugly, players might get pulled just a tick earlier than they normally would be. What do you got, Chop? Give me your old screenshot. What are we looking at?
Little 5-gamer. That's what we're looking at, Dean. A little 5-gamer with LeBron sitting. So, that's about the only thing that opens up tonight. And it's not really many injuries. Halliburton is out, so a little bit there. But, the prices are still barely starting to come down from the last time he was out here just a few days ago. And, I don't know. Just not a lot of value, but enough on the Lakers now. But there's not going to at this point, we don't have any of those under 4K DraftKings guys to turn to. So, I don't mind. We'll see how it is.
I'm looking at point per dollar plays, and I always do this to kind of tilt myself. But we do have one, theoretically, here, Chop. The best point per dollar play, if you're to trust the projection, it's pretty positive projection if you ask me. But, he's going to be landing in a lot of lineups. Rui Hachimura, we're expecting him to draw the start there for the Lakers. Currently with 3.7 on DK, and we're giving him a 23-point projection. He's one of 3 players that are projected to have 6x, 6 times their salary. It's Hachimura, it's D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves. What do those guys have in common? They are all Lakers, without LeBron. By the way, I see this thing popping up in chat here, producer Steve. Favorite fries, regular fries like McDonald's. Regular fries? Curly. Okay, first of all, curly sweet potato. It says curly sweet potato regular fries. If you're going to make a poll for fries, right, Chop? How in the world is sweet potato? How is that in the top 3? You have string fries. What's the potato wedges? You have what's the one that's like what's the hot dog place that does like those weird kind of fries? Now I need to Google this. I'm just saying, Chop, sweet potatoes are nobody's top 3 as far as fries.
It only gave me 4 options, and I don't know. I hate sweet potato fries, but I know some people love those. There's waffle fries. There's crinkle fries.
Waffle fries are terrible.
That's what I was thinking. I couldn't think of
Chick-fil-A has waffle fries, and Chick-fil-A has the worst fries of all the if you're going to on the list, I'm glad you said McDonald's. Regular fries are okay. McDonald's fries are great. Okay, so if you want to put that on the poll as just flat out McDonald's fries, that's the one I'm voting for. I don't hate sweet potato fries. It's a new generation.
It's nobody's top 3 though. It's a GPP play.
It might be, Dean. It's not bad if you get them made the right way. They're fine. They got to be. You got to get them crispy. You can't have the soggy because they're really hard to get in the crispy fashion with sweet potato. But if you can get them there, I think they're pretty good. But McDonald's fries are just flat out the best.
I see a comment too. I forgot. I should have put tater tots probably over curly fries.
Tater tots are fantastic.
Well, they're not fries, but they're better than sweet potato, obviously.
They're a style kind of.
They're in the family. They're like a cousin of the
back in the day, Jack in the Box had the wedges, the potato wedges with all the stuff on. You get everything on it, the full works, like a baked potato, but they were the wedges. Oh man, those were.
What started this?
AFC used to have wedges too, I think.
Were people arguing about this? What started this conversation in chat? Well, you just
I was just trying to get chat's comments off another topic.
Fair enough. Curly's probably the answer. The answer is curly fries. Curly fries is the answer. And of course, it's 3% right now in the poll. Are you people out of your minds? 3%, 6% now. I think now that I voted. But
would you say Curly's your favorite?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's curly. I like a curly fry.
Who has the best curly fry, Dean?
I don't know. I can only think of doesn't Arby's do curly fries?
Oh, I was thinking of Hooters. Hooters has a fantastic curly fry.
I haven't been to either establishment in probably like 10 years or so. Am I missing out?
Well, I mean, Arby's, I don't know because I don't eat Arby's, but Hooters is fantastic.
Do you take the family to Hooters?
I did one time. We were on the Riverwalk down in San Antonio. Needed to eat some lunch, and
you got to get Tex-Mex when you're on the Riverwalk. Are you serious?
Dean, I live in San Antonio.
Tex-Mex is the chalk. That's what you got to get.
I live in San Antonio. We eat that all the time. I got to get something different every once in a while.
Oh, I'm totally derailed now, but let's get back to basketball. Thankfully, we only have 5 games to talk about. We have crunch time coming in about 45 minutes or so. Let's knock it out. The first game on the board is Denver and Indiana, the aforementioned Pacers, who are fickle when it comes to their rotations. 237.5 is the total. Denver on the road here comes in at a 5.5-point favorite. The only game at 7 o'clock. Everybody's healthy here for Denver. Officially, Aaron Gordon is listed as probable with a shoulder. Michael Porter Jr. probable with his illness. I guess Strother is out. We should have mentioned that. He's not playing basketball tonight. Indiana, the only player out for them is one that really matters, is Tyrese Halliburton. But again, you have to put numbers on it. I'm not jealous or envious of the projection team that has to project a team like Indiana. But, they have to put numbers on it. And, I don't know how to handle the Pacers, Chop. You tell me. Help me out with the Pacers. I think McConnell is certainly an interesting tournament play. Looks like we chopped up him and Mathurin. McConnell's got 23, Mathurin 25, Nembhard 25, Turner 28, Naismith 28. Like, nobody really gets 30 with the exception of Pascal. You trade for Pascal, you give up all those first rounders, you got to give him 30-plus minutes. He's getting 34, but I just hate this rotation. I don't know how to deal with it, but somebody probably rises out of this. The matchup versus Denver, not premium either for what it's worth, but again, more usage to go around without Halliburton. Your thoughts as far as the Pacers ownership-wise? Nobody's really getting a ton. 10% the most we're getting for Miles Turner on DK. At least this is as of like a half hour ago. I'm not sure if things have changed. I don't know. I throw my hands up at the Pacers. You tell me.
Well, that's a tough one, Dean. You have like you said, nobody's going to get ownership. When I hear Halliburton is out, I want to look at TJ McConnell. His price tag has let me see here. What does the price tag look like compared to recently?
It's okay. It's 5.5.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to figure out where we were here. I remember about a week ago it was $7,000, and I was like, damn, that's a lot. But I mean, Halliburton had been out and he had put up some big games, so now we're down to a reasonable range here. I don't love the matchup for him, but McConnell's fine. Miles Turner has had some issues with Jokic in the past. Not great games against him. I don't know that that's a great matchup, so I don't know that I want Miles Turner. I want to go Pascal Siakam. Is what I want to do with Halliburton out. Maybe a little bit more burden falls on him. Hasn't been great in his first few attempts here in an Indiana Pacers uniform, fantasy-wise. But now he gets a little bit more on his plate, so maybe that's going to do it. So I do kind of like Siakam today for the Pacers side. And, yeah, but generally speaking, I think the ownership represents or reflects how I kind of feel about him. I'm not great. I just don't feel great about much of it at all. Maybe McConnell, maybe Siakam, and just a little bit, but I don't feel great about it.
If ownership holds on Pascal, we're looking at 5%. I do think he's really interesting as a dart here. McConnell at 8% is also an interesting dart. We've seen the ceiling for him. He certainly can, he's an awesome fantasy point minute player. 1.26 fantasy points per minute on the season, 21% usage. He can get going as far as stocks as well. I should just say steals. Not a big block guy, obviously, not especially tall. As far as Denver, Joker is awesome. He's only getting 13% ownership, which I think is pretty interesting. That's the highest number on the Denver side. Denver fully healthy with the exception of Strother. Good matchup here, of course, against Indiana. Gordon, Jamal Murray, by the way, his minutes have been awesome of late. We're giving him 35, but there's a path where he plays even more than that, I think. But 38, 36, 38, 36 in his last 4. If If this game stays close, I think there's a chance Murray plays 36-37. And again, this is an island game. They didn't play yesterday, not playing tomorrow. There's a lot of Nemhard being too cheap on FanDuel. I'll take a peek at FanDuel as well and see if there's any outliers ownership-wise. Let's see. Most popular play. So McConnell's 5-2 on FanDuel. That's what we definitely have to bring up. That's probably in your cash lineups on FanDuel. That's really, really good. I should say probably, but very likely in your cash. I ran some optimals, actually. Let's see what I have. How many optimals have McConnell? 63%. Yeah, so he landed in a lot of my optimals on FanDuel. As a general rule job, with players cheaper on FanDuel than they are on DK, they're quite possibly of value. Denver in general, your thoughts as far as the Nuggets?
So my thought is Jokic, most popular guy on the team, fantasy tonight. I don't think I'm in love with this, Dean. I don't think I'm in love with this man. I don't think that he gets this big upgrade because it's Indiana. I'm not sure that he wants to get up and down the court like that. He's a big guy. So I'm probably underweight on Jokic here. Murray, I feel like Murray has some good upside in this thing. This should suit him pretty well. I think the guy with the most to gain from this particular style of play is going to be Aaron Gordon. So that's the guy I'll be most overweight on for Denver compared to the field in just that particular game. So I think he gains the most. And the rest of those guys, you could maybe twist my arm into Michael Porter Jr., but I think Aaron Gordon is the guy at this price tag, especially on DraftKings. He's a little bit more expensive on FanDuel, especially on DraftKings. Murray and Gordon, but Gordon number one for me.
Mr. Richard wants to know 3 max setting on DK, feasible to fade this game. I think you can. I'm not necessarily forcing the fade, but I'm okay with it. How do you feel about fading game one? Only one game at 7 o'clock, Denver, Indiana.
Oh, man. It's a tough one, Dean, because it's the Pacers, and they bring out the best in their opponents. But, I mean, we're at what do we have Jokic at ownership right now? I'm seeing him
12, 13%, not a lot.
Earlier version was around that range, and that's the highest guy in this whole game. So, yes, there's no standout value plays in this game. You could absolutely fade this game and you'd be fine with it. But I kind of, I got my eyes on Aaron Gordon, so I won't be fading it.
I like Murray as my favorite, kind of low-owned. On a 5-gamer, you can get Jamal Murray at 9% versus Indiana. That's just, to me, that doesn't fully add up. Right? Like the pie is supposed to get cut up in, bigger pieces, but only 9% for Murray against the Pacers. Yeah. I mean, I understand why. I get it. Just as far as the entire build goes and all that. But I think I'm going to have Murray at least in one lineup. Maybe I'll run it back with Pascal. Maybe I'll do like a Murray, Pascal, skinny stack. But otherwise, mostly, I only make so many lineups. But I might just fade the game in the rest of my lineups. Anything else we should stress here as far as Denver and the Pacers, or shall we move on?
I think we can move on, Dean. And I would also, I'd like to point out to you, Dean, that I did an entire rewatch of Entourage, all 8 seasons in about 3 weeks.
No.
It's a very easy, nice watch. Now I've seen it before, but I just did it because sometimes you just. Like what do I
There was 8 seasons of Entourage. That's like
8 seasons. I was like, one day I was like, let's crank up the first episode and see what's going on. I don't know what brought it to my mind, but I started watching and they're addicted. Boy, Entourage so good, Dean, so good, man.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't seen it in years. I'll tell you the other thing about Entourage. They made a movie that came out like 7 years after the series ended, and nobody wanted to watch the last couple of seasons of the series, and now they're giving a movie like 10 years too late. Did anybody ever watch the Entourage movie? I did not.
I went to the theater and saw it, Dean. In fact, on Father's Day.
Did you like it?
On Father's Day, 2015. Yeah, I like Entourage, man. I'm a fan. What do you want? What do you want me to say, Dean? I like the loyalty that the friends show each other. I mean, would you concede that the first couple seasons far exceed, like, are clearly better than the back half? I'll concede that if you concede that 99% of the shows out there are the exact same way. The best seasons are the first couple seasons.
There are different
everything falls off, but I mean,
not every show is Entourage and Dexter. not every show that just falls off a cliff. in the last season or so. But yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Most shows, for a variety of reasons, tend to fall off a little bit. But I just haven't seen it in a long time. But I do remember liking, the first couple seasons. And I remember at the end, I was kind of hate watching it. Like, I was pot committed, so I just couldn't tap out. But it was just like, it was getting drama was like singing with U2 at one point. Like, what?
Oh, Dean, you're one after the show scene on one episode out of like 96 episodes.
I was out.
Come on, bro. It's and everything always works out for him. I like that.
I didn't like that. That was one of my big criticisms.
I like the feel good.
That's not real life. Most things don't always work out.
We don't need like everything to be fences with Denzel and all this other like so bad things happening. Let's get some good stuff. There's nothing but positivity, brother. Come on, man.
All right. You've advocated so far for Hooters and Entourage so far on this show. Let's see if you can advocate.
Just living the dream, dude. Just living the dream. Hooters and Entourage. That's all you need.
We got the Battle of New York. I guess, Brooklyn and the Knicks. Big injury here for New York. Obviously, they're without Mitch Robb. Now the other big, Hartenstein's out. For Brooklyn fully healthy with the exception of Ben Simmons, who was supposed to be back months ago, but he never was. And who knows if he ever will come back. And Day'Ron Sharpe, one of their bigs, their backup big, is also out. So maybe this game goes small. So we're projecting Jericho Sims to draw the start, and Jericho Sims has very much of the he's going to pull a Kaiser Soze, right? He just disappears in the middle of the game. Like, what happened to that dude that started the game? He ain't coming back. He might start the second half as well. We're projecting him to start. Maybe Precious Achiuwa, closes and plays more minutes than Jericho Sims, or maybe Randall plays some 5. Maybe that happens. What do you think happens here when it comes to New York as far as the rotations here against Brooklyn? I'm looking at our minutes right now, and let's see. We're giving Precious 26, Sims 20. So there's 2 extra minutes of hey, maybe that's Randall. And again, I think there's some fragility to that. Precious certainly can play 26 off the bench. Are you assuming Sims starts? We've seen that before with Sims starting.
I thought they said Sims was going to start.
Okay, I didn't say they officially announced it, but that's like the assumption. But okay, do we like Sims in any way? He's 3.5. No. Yeah. Do you know what he is usage wise? Take a guess on his usage.
7%.
7.25%. That's a hell of a guess, Chop.
I mean,
that's so bad.
Yeah, so he's terrible. That's why I don't want him. But I always, even when they announced him as a starter, I always still thought Precious Achiuwa was going to be the one who got the most minutes and has the most upside for DFS anyway. So I like Achiuwa here, and I can agree with that minute allotment that our projections team put on him. I could even see Sims being a couple minutes lower than that. Achiuwa a couple of minutes better than that if he if he's out there doing what Tibbs likes, which is that high energy and, doing stuff. You don't have to shoot the ball particularly. He's so Achiuwa is so weird that he's had games where he's had his 2 last big DFS games, and he's had some pretty decent games here recently. The last big game he had, wasn't it just last? It was just like the last game. Yeah.
Precious.
About 34 DK points, right? On 90% from the field though, right?
Well, everything's right at the basket, but yeah.
Yeah, but he's had a game a couple of weeks ago where he was shot 11% from the field, but he got some minutes. So he still put up a good line as far as DFS, you know what I'm saying? So basically, if he even falls just anywhere in the middle shooting-wise, like 40, 50%, and he brings so much energy all over with the rebounding and the defensive stats, I like him a lot tonight. That's what I would say. I look for him to get the most minutes here at that position, and if he can just stay out of foul trouble and do what Tibbs wants, I expect a really nice game out of him for this price tag.
What about Randall and Brunson? I think they're both fine. If I land on them, so be it. I'm not sure if I'm going to start a build around them or either one of those two, Randall and Brunson. I'd probably give a slight lean to Randall just because the chance of him playing some extra minutes at the 5. He's going to play minutes no matter what. 36 is the projection. There's a chance he plays even more. Brunson, 36 as well. It's a sort of lineup construction. We're looking at 20% for Randall, about 16, 17% for Brunson. you have a preference amongst those two, the two big studs there for New York?
Randall or Brunson tonight?
Yeah,
I would say Randall. If I had to lean towards either one of them tonight, and I had to only choose one, I'd choose Randall tonight.
What is happening in the chat where they're talking about Dragnet and MASH? I have no idea what's going on. I have not been SpaghettiOs was just like randomly mentioned for no particular reason. I think there's like multiple conversations going on, but all right. So TastefulTides Tim is touting MASH. Did you watch MASH? I never watched MASH before. I'm aware of its existence, but I did not.
I mean, I've heard of it, and I've seen it on the rerun channels, but
yeah.
And I've heard the finale was the highest, watched show for many a year.
There's 3 channels. Yeah. Of course, what you're gonna watch that or the snow, the scramble.
But as far as like the actual show itself, I don't know much about it. So no, Dean. No. But Happy Day, they said Happy Days was good. Happy Days was pretty interesting. I used to watch the reruns of that when I would be sick from school, but yeah, Happy Days.
I know about Happy Days I learned from Weezer videos, basically. I did not watch and from Jump the Shark. The Jump the Shark. Speaking of Entourage Jump the Shark, when Johnny Drama was singing with U2, that Jump the Shark, the term Jump the Shark comes from Happy Days, where Fonzie literally jumps the shark, and that's where the show turns and becomes terrible. All right. How about Brooklyn? How do we feel about the Nets tonight?
Nothing particularly outstanding about him, Dean. Claxton's getting some ownership. That's fine.
I like him.
Yeah, he's fine. I think you could roll with Claxton if you want to. The rest of them are Dinwiddie, that's a hard pass. That's kind of he actually has been a little bit better the last few games as opposed to what he was doing for a while, but still, I don't know. I tell you what, on FanDuel, on DraftKings, 5,600 on DraftKings, pretty darn good. I don't know. I might think about Dinwiddie now. Claxton, Dinwiddie, the rest of them seem to be priced appropriately. Cam Thomas really needs to get hot shooting the ball to have or he can absolutely sink your entire team. There's no in between with that guy. And the rest of them don't do it for me. Mikal Bridges, I wonder if Brooklyn could go back to the end of the season when everybody wanted Mikal Bridges and were willing to trade a lot for him. Would they pull the trigger on that now, knowing that he's probably not quite the guy that they thought he was?
Well, I was told in this very show that Cam Thomas was like a generational shooter. Well, what happened? It turns out sample size has caught up with him.
Who said that? Who said that?
You and Kirkwood were saying.
No, what?
I believe I knew it was Kirkwood. I thought it was you too. I feel like I got ganged up on that one, if I'm not mistaken.
You guys nobody gangbanged you, brother, on Cam Thomas.
I'm pretty sure.
Sir. No, sir.
I was having an anti-Cam Thomas take, and the reason
he is a microwave. He is a microwave off the bench kind of guy for this league. I think those guys can be very valuable if you need instant scoring, and he comes in and he's hot. Yes, he can carry you. You can win with those guys even in the playoffs. I agree with that, but he's not he's gonna have a lot of nights when he goes stone cold too. That's what he depends on is the outside shooting. So no.
Microwave. Shout out Vinny Johnson in the chat. Michael's saying technically it was TJ. Apparently TJ was the one who was hyping up Cam Thomas as the second. Is he Canadian Cam Thomas? Is that why TJ is a big backer? I don't know. But TJ will be on later. Maybe we'll talk about how great Cam Thomas is. But I don't recall. I thought it was you and Kirkwood, but maybe I got my a little bit confused in that one. My apologies. Claxton is getting some ownership here, 22% ownership. The matchup against the York this season was really, really bad on the inside. They were awesome at suppressing stuff inside. But again, they're without Mitrov and they're without Hartenstein. So a little bit easier there on the inside. And they're going to need his size as well tonight. Dinwiddie getting 10%. Otherwise, not much going on. Bridges getting 7%. Not very popular on the Brooklyn side. Anything else we should focus on? Anything else we should mention here? TJ's just sort of jumping in. I don't know if you go. TJ, allegedly you were the one that said that Cam Thomas is a generational shooter and the best shooter of all time coming into the season, or at least 5 minutes into the game. 5 minutes into the season, whatever it was. That's what I'm being told. But feel free to defend yourself later on. All right.
I said he could go for 50 in any DFS game.
Well,
which
who
is
can't?
true.
Anybody can.
Cam Thomas can get hot and go off. He's no generational anything, though.
Okay, I'm just telling you what was being said in the chat. They were pointing you out. They said technically TJ was the one. And by the way, TJ, by God, that's TJ's music just jumping in out of nowhere.
I didn't even have myself there. Steve just did it. Steve just put me in. Yeah, no, I love me some Cam Thomas. I'll play him in DFS anytime. I think he's in a good spot. But no, he's not a generational anything.
All right. Gridiron Beauty says I am so lost. Am I lost right now? I'm just look, I'm a vessel for the chat. The chat's giving me information and I'm just displaying it and throwing it out to the people. But hey, speaking of chat, hit that like button. I know you guys voted in the poll for your favorite fries, but if you don't mind, you've shown the ability, you can click things. Click on that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, hit all the buttons. You know, it does help us out wonders to keep the lights on here. Chop moving on here as far as Brooklyn and New York, I believe so.
Yeah, but I would say Mr. Gerg brings up a good point, Dean. On no iteration of this timeline of life could Jericho Sims ever get 50 points. So you're wrong when you said anybody can get 50.
Well, I mean, you know, I wasn't sure. You're going to take me literally. But the thing is, like, Jericho Sims is incredible at basketball. Like, the 12th, 13th guy at basketball on these teams are so good now. They need to expand a couple more teams. It's happening. Like, Vegas is going to get a team at some point. And there's so much talent that, like, doesn't even get a chance to display. There's so much – not worth getting into it, you know, the whole LeBron, Jordan. But, like, you know, this is the world now. The entire world is now playing basketball. And you look at how many players are from outside the country. The talent is so good. So, like, the 9th, 10th, 12th guy on the bench is spectacular. Sims is awesome at basketball. We just, you know, by comparison, obviously he's not as good as, you know, players like SGA. And SGA will be showing those talents tonight versus the Blazers. 233.5 is the total. The Blazers are 13.5-point favorites. Again, this is the front half of a back-to-back for both Portland and OKC. OKC absolutely boat raced the Blazers last time they played, very nearly doubling up the score. As far as who's in and who's out in this one, Portland, you know, Sharp is still out. OKC is fully healthy. So a fully healthy Thunder team in the front half of back-to-back against a terrible Blazers team. Did I see that quote real? Was that a real quote? Was that like one of those fake, like, Twitter, like, parody accounts? Or did DeAndre Ayton really say he's a max player? Was that a real quote, like, from, like, modern times? You know what I'm talking about? I saw this one across my timeline.
There was nothing that I saw that made me think it was a fake quote. So I don't. That's something. It sounds like something he would say, man. So,
but it's a crazy thing to say. Like, you know, I know there are certain players that, you know, not all max players are created equal. But DeAndre Ayton, he ain't a max player. Like, who out there
in today's NBA, Dean? There's a lot of max players that shouldn't be max players.
But Ayton definitely should not be a max player. Like, I'm giving the bush on Ayton. He's terrible.
Can you imagine? Just this NBA is so weird. Ayton, think about where he was drafted and who you could have had right after that. Whew. Think about
we're talking second overall, I believe.
Yeah, I think Luka came next, so you could have had some Luka. But look at a guy like SGA. He was just out there for the taking. Like, anybody could have pulled that trade. You know what I mean? Like
Paul George.
Anybody could have made that move with the Clippers to get SGA. He was out there, and now he is a bona fide. I mean, he's a stud, man. He's a star. I give him that.
So Ayton is in the second year of his, I guess it's a max contract. 4 years, $132 million. I'm just saying he's not going to get that going forward, and, like, salaries are going up. Yeah. So, okay, his point was, I already received the max contract. Why would I have anything to prove? Which is like, is that the player you want in your team? This is the quote of the guy we just signed for 4 years, $132 million. I already received my max contract. Why would I have anything to prove? Maybe justifying the contract. I mean, good for you. You got your money. Congratulations. But now you're just going to go down as just a massive overspend and a big bust. And just somebody that a point compiler on a bad team. He's not even that sometimes. He doesn't even do that. It's a terrible team, and he still can't get points for Portland. Anyways.
Okay, Dean, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have right now today, Ayton or Ben Simmons?
What's the contract situation?
I mean, it's the contract that they're under right now. You got to take on their contract, but you can have them free of charge.
I think DeAndre is actively hurting you. So maybe
Ben Simmons ever play again, Dean? You might take on and owe that guy money, and he might never play again, though. I don't know.
But I would have somebody out there in the court that replaces Ben Simmons and who might be better than DeAndre Ayton. I think Ayton's pretty terrible. Is basically the long and short of it. And it's probably the worst contract in basketball. There might be worse ones. I'm not sure, but it's not good. As far as this game, it feels like a blowout is on layaway. It's only 13 or 14 points. I say only because I feel like it probably should be more. What are you doing with OKC and Portland? Obviously, SGA is spectacular. He should fully smash as long as they let him smash, as long as the game is fairly close. Jalen Williams is good. Chet Holmgren, awesome stocks, steals and blocks. Blazers give up both. I think they give up the most steals in the league, top 5 as far as blocks as well. If you're looking for those outlier games, especially on FanDuel, Chet Holmgren's a guy that can get you 6 or 7 of those. But there's a lot of fragility this game. You tell me. Blazers, Thunder, what do you got?
Yeah, so, I guess the one guy I highlighted in this game that I liked the most was Jalen Williams, just, looking at the price tag and the probable production in this kind of a matchup. SGA, I think he's great, but what's the upside? It's Portland. It could be a blowout. And if it's even vaguely, they could already be planning all right, SGA, Shea's not going to play a full 40 minutes. I don't care what happens tonight. They could already be thinking about that in their heads. So that price tag's a lot. Now I'll play him a little bit in GPPs, but I'd like Jalen Williams more. It's a more reasonable price tag, especially on DraftKings. He's just ultra consistent with his production. So that's the one I like. Chet is a kind of a hit or miss guy. He's going to miss at this salary, I think, a little bit more than hit. But when he hits, man, it could be massive because he could get it in all 5 categories. So I got that. And then there's your boy, Josh Giddey. I know you're a big fan of that dude. So don't shake your head at me, man. I'm just saying. I know you like the dudes from Australia, Dean. That's all I meant. You like the Australian. You're talking about
a big Steve Adams guy.
Okay, exactly. Now you're a big Giddey guy. But
Ben Simmons from Australia.
Australia is a known hub of good basketball players. So it's growing. The international game is growing.
The world is. The entire world now. Everywhere you go. Awesome basketball players.
Awesome basketball. All right, so you got that. The other side of it, Portland, I don't know, Dean. This is a good team. It's Oklahoma City. Good all-around team. Defense, offense, they do everything well. So I don't know that I want to trust a guy like Malcolm Brogdon who's a veteran and is already kind of, you could get shafted on his minutes. If this game is 25 points in the fourth quarter, he's gone. You won't see him again, so I don't know if that's the one I want. And Simons is okay. Jeremy Grant, I don't know, man. Maybe a younger guy, maybe a Scoot Henderson, but there's price tag's okay, but there's no real injuries tonight that's going to prop him up. You're hoping for blowout in a situation like that. So I'm not really a big fan of the Portland side.
By the way, Thunder tomorrow night on ESPN against the Spurs. So there you go. Wemby versus SGA. Blazers take on your Rockets tomorrow night.
I mean, come on, haven't we? Okay, great. He's 7'7". Wemby. It's a really cool thing to see, but do we really need to see or tout a bunch of blowouts? These guys stink, man. Spurs stink. They get blown up by 30 every time. They're giving up. Happy for you, Wemby. You're a phenomenal, weird-looking guy.
He's going to be so good.
But you better learn how to play defense. And B got 70 on you and didn't even break a sweat last night. You better play some defense and gain some weight, String Bean.
You don't want to watch Wemby versus Holmgren?
Holmgren would eat his lunch, Dean.
I think they already had that matchup earlier in the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Chet will destroy him when healthy.
But maybe, I was thinking maybe somebody sits tonight, but it is a home game for OKC. I just think there's something to do with minutes here. You did mention SGA as far as his price. The price on DK is awesome at $10K. It's just that, that's how the prices work on DK. The best plays typically are the guys that are $10K. So I like him a lot. Projections about 56.5 points, 35 minutes. The minutes, again, could be fickle, potential blowouts. 25% ownership for SGA, 25 for Williams, 16 for Holmgren. the most popular guy on FanDuel, on the Blazers is Brogdon at 10%. And I agree with you. That's too fragile for me. I don't like anybody on Portland as far as like a first or second lineup. You can start telling some stories after that. Let's talk about the Jazz. The Jazz and New Orleans. We got the total here is 240. The Jazz are 7-point dogs. Who's in and who's out? We have Chris Dunn, who's officially questionable. New Orleans is fully healthy. So two pretty healthy teams. We saw last time out, and speaking of the Pacers, the Jazz, they are just like them in terms of giving you fickle rotations that are hard to predict. At halftime, they swapped over they bumped Collins out of the starting lineup. And they said, hey, Walker Kessler, you're starting the second half. I don't know why Kessler isn't starting as is, whatever. Nobody asked me. I'm not a part of the organization. But is that just a blip? Is that because Şengün was absolutely working John Collins? That's what was happening. Şengün was destroying, annihilating, eating his lunch, whatever sort of adjective you want to use of Collins, which had Kessler start in the second half. So do you think Collins starts this game, or do you think it's they stick with Kessler, who they brought in the second half?
What? You're asking me what I think the Jazz are going to do with their...
Yeah. Sorry. Tough question.
I have no idea. Or is Quinn Snyder still the coach there?
No, he's not.
Gotcha, Dean. Remember, this is a throwback to the Karl Malone thing a while back, but
no, Al Jefferson, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Quinn Snyder's the coach of the Hawks. It's over. Blow it up, Atlanta.
Oh, what's going on there?
It's done. It's done. You're not getting any better. You're in that NBA hell where you're like the 7th best team in the conference, and there's no sign of getting any better. They're going to trade Murray, and they should trade Young too, but whatever. So nobody's asking me. Young, the most overrated player in basketball. How about that? Bam. There's a hot take for you.
I don't know. There's a lot of overrated guys. I don't know.
Who's more overrated? Somebody in the chat tell me who's more overrated than Trae Young.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it was Paul. Kirk's right. It was Paul Millsap. It was Paul Millsap day. Same, Karl Malone, Paul Millsap, same guys. So, Karl Malone, another big Karl Malone guy, aren't you?
Not a big Karl Malone guy.
Giddy and Malone. Dean, you're on fire today, man. All your favorite players. I don't know what they do, Dean. I'm kind of surprised that Utah is getting this high of a team total tonight against New Orleans. So I guess you got to look at them, but who's going to get – I was going to bring him up when we got to New Orleans. Who's going to get the Herbert Jones treatment tonight, Like, this guy's a really good defender, right?
Sure.
Why is New Orleans shopping him? I don't get that, but that's another story.
Is that for sure? Is that just one of the rumors out there?
I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, Dean, and
Yeah.
So
they have too many pieces. I don't know if he's a guy they want to move, but it feels like it's a bit of a clutter as far as wings. But it seems like a guy that'd be useful in the playoffs.
Hell yeah, I'd take him in a RB. But who's going to get the Herbert Jones treatment? Is Jordan Clarkson going to get shut down? Is Colin Sexton going to get shut down? Somebody is. So I'm kind of not on Utah here. I probably should be more because it is a decent team total. Sexton's getting a lot of ownership. I could see that going sour real quick. Jordan Clarkson is getting probably the second next ownership on this team, and I'm not a Jordan Clarkson DFS guy here when other guys are healthy, so I don't know if I want that tonight at these price tags. Actually, the salary on DraftKings is not that bad, but I'm just not on Utah that much tonight. I prefer the other side of this game we can talk about, but I'm not big on the Utah Jazz tonight. I think there's some uncertainty, like you said, in the rotation, so I'm kind of out on that. And the backcourt is the place where I would want somebody from this team, and I just don't know which one of these guys are going to get locked down, so I'll probably pass.
We're giving an extra minute to Sexton if Dunn is ruled out, 30 to 31. We have an if-then set up, and the two positive actually, we have 3 positive DK values for the Jazz: Markkanen, Sexton, and Clarkson. It's more of like back-end stuff of like guys that, Keontae George and Agbaji would get some more run, I guess. Fontecchio with ones that don't really matter. It's like 20 minutes to delegate. Nobody really gets a big enough chunk to move the needle. I think it's interesting maybe to throw a Kessler dart. You think his size would be useful here versus Valanciunas as opposed to like Collins would get worked by Valanciunas, right? Are they going to start with Collins against Valanciunas? They might. But you tell me. Talk about New Orleans here. Again, fully healthy. So And they're another team, like we said, that they're pretty deep. They have 10, 11 like useful players, and that's not great for DFS.
Not great for DFS. Yeah, Kessler would be, you would think, would be the preferred play. I mean, he's a pretty good player too in real life. And Utah is hanging on in the playoffs, so they're not that bad. They've kind of improved quite a bit from this rebuild. So for the New Orleans side, I mean, Zion, I'm definitely highlighting Zion tonight for sure. I think this is a good matchup for him. And he's cheap, $74 and $77, $100 respectively on each of the two major sites. I like that. I think there's some big upside here in this game. I just don't play when all these guys are healthy. I just don't play McCollum and Ingram that much when everybody's in the lineup there. Herbert Jones theoretically could put up some good defensive stats tonight, but I'm not really. I don't have to go out of my way for that price. I think there's other guys who are a little bit cheaper that bring more upside. So, and Jonas, there's no ownership there. I don't think you're gonna like miss out too much if you fade him. But Zion is my guy here in this entire game. That's my favorite player in the game and one of my favorite 5 or 6 players on the whole slate, Zion.
Shout out to Adrian Beltre, officially in the Hall of Fame. A lot of fun. Nobody had more fun playing baseball than Adrian Beltre. A lot of fun to watch. I mean, look up his ejection when he moved the on-deck circle. That's one of my favorite highlights. Anybody trying to touch his head?
I was watching that game live, Dean.
I was too. I remember watching that game live. They were up at like 10 or so, and I think I had Beltran. Like he got thrown out of the game by the dope umpire. They became an ump show. It was like a 10-run lead, right? It was a huge score, and they kicked him out because he moved the on-deck circle, and he didn't want to get hit or something, or want to get a better look at the pitcher. But it's one of those things they never enforce. But ump show. Joe Mauer, also a Hall of Famer, as well as a former Tennessee Volunteer quarterback, Todd Helton, also a Hall of Famer. And Gary Sheffield was slighted. Unbelievable.
What?
Yeah. No Gary Sheffield.
How do you put Helton in over Sheffield, man?
Well, longevity. Sheffield had a window of like 5 years where he was like awesome. And being a Marlins fan at the time, you just would not leave your seat when you would like, if you have to walk around, go to the bathroom, whatever, you would, when is Sheffield coming up? Okay. He just hit. Now we can go. He was the one thing that was exciting for them for several years. Good years on our teams as well too. But okay, let's talk about the final game. It's the Lakers and the Clippers. LeBron is not playing basketball tonight. 235 is the total. Clippers are 10-point favorites here. Otherwise, as far as the Lakers, Anthony Davis officially probable with his Achilles. Kareem Prince not on the injury report. Reddish available too. Vanderbilt available. So there's a lot of wing options. None really good. Clippers are without Zubac. Zubac's to be out for a while. We're projecting the Plum Dog, the millionaire, to draw the start there for the Clippers. How many Lakers is too many Lakers? Prioritize the Lakers, or like you think a Laker fade is kind of the better route to go?
Well, definitely not a fade of the Lakers. It's a 5-game slate, Dean, and LeBron's hitting. You can't fade the Lakers. I think that, okay, I'll start off on the Lakers side. I think 3 is probably the max I would play. Like we're going to get there. You're going to, the most heavily owned guy, on the whole slate is Rui, probably. Definitely in this game.
I hate that. If that's the case,
I don't like him. I don't like him tonight, man. I'm not feeling Rui tonight at that ownership. So I don't like that. I think my favorite player in this whole game, it's 2 of them. It's a 2-headed mon. Russell and Reeves both benefit with LeBron being out more than anybody else. And Davis will get obviously a bit of an uptick. So he's the third guy, but Reeves, Russell, and Davis on that side for me, with probably just based on the price tag, a little bit cheaper. Austin Reeves being a little bit favorite for me over D'Angelo Russell, but Russell in the 4 games LeBron has missed definitely has put up good numbers, really good numbers. So he definitely gets a big uptick, but so does Reeves, and then Davis. But yeah, when I go to run the Sims, and I know you're going to do a read in a minute, but we got the new thing with the Sims where you can now import it into Lineup HQ and kind of edit some things if you want. I got a feeling that the Sims are going to try to shove down like 90% Rui down my throat. I'm not going to let it happen, Dean. I'm going to go into Lineup HQ and I'm going to edit him out of there on a lot of that stuff. I don't want I don't want too much Rui, but I got it. All the optimizers and all the sims are love him tonight, but I don't.
Somehow we've fallen behind on time, so I'll leave that to Roth to tell the people about Sim Labs, and it's always fun to hear if Roth is going to call it Sims Lab or Sim Labs, and he still doesn't know which way to say. He nails the read, like the FanDuel read, incredibly. Like you can wake up at 3:30 in the morning in the middle of sleep and do it like in 3 seconds and say 7,000 words, but for some reason he can't quite decipher Sims Lab from Sim Labs, and we'll see how he handles that today. I'll say the most interesting thing to me is like the best play, very clearly the best play, and I understand why this is the case, but Anthony Davis is the 4th most popular Laker with LeBron being out, and he clearly is the highest ceiling. Of course, salary is a thing. We do live in the world of salary cap. Like you said, Hachimura, 42% currently as far as the ownership. That's a monster number, and I get it. And I'm probably going to play some, but I don't like it. I want to see if I can get away from it if I can. But there's not a ton of players, like you kind of mentioned at the top of the show, that are less than 4K that you feel even okay about. Austin Reeves coming at 37%, Russell coming at 35%. He's also a guy that is in the trade block. You talk about smoke and fire and trades. Austin Reeves, certainly somebody out there that will be dangled and possibly moved at some point. I want to get your thoughts as far as the Clippers. I know crunch time is here, but give me your Clipper take real quickly if you don't mind.
I wouldn't hate playing any of the big 3. I really actually like Paul George more than the other 2, and but I think any of the 3 are fine in this matchup. And Paul George is my favorite though.
Chris Dunn officially in for Utah, so we're basically waiting for no news, I believe. I think everything else has officially been clarified. Maybe somebody, TJ or Tim, can tell me otherwise. Roth, what's going on, Roth? We've hyped it up already when you do the read later on. I know you're going to nail it.
Yeah. Sims Lab, baby.
How's Tuesday treating you? Things all right?
It's good. Life is good. Pumped. This is a good little slate, and we got some value, so looking forward to it.
Roth, do me a favor. Name the 3 most popular type of fries. Just like ways you can get fries different ways. What's the 3 most popular ways? They come top of your head.
Well, like a standard fry, just a French fry doesn't really have a name. Like a McDonald's fry, I don't think has a fancy name, but that's number 1. Sure. I guess crinkle cut is probably there, and I sure as hell hope curly fry isn't one because curly fry is terrible. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Is that fair? Did I do okay?
No, well, you did.
That last one was a bad take.
That was a bad take with curly fries. We're gonna let that slide. What I was pointing out is that producer Steve set up a poll with 3 fries, and somehow sweet potato got a slot. Sweet potato fry got a slot. Top 3 in what world?
Only because the classic fry doesn't really have a name. It's not even shoestring fry. That's a different type of fry entirely. Waffle fry should have gotten a slot over it. Yeah. Steak fry, which is like a fat
potato
fry. Yeah.
A wedge.
I don't know. Sweet potato fries, delicious, but it's a whole different thing.
I don't think we need to pit these wonderful, wonderful options against each other. I just think we get to have all of them. And I mean, throw in Tim's number 1 potato option as well, the tater.
That's right. Tater.
It's not a fry. Tater tot?
Yeah, it's not a fry though.
It's not a fry.
It's all the same thing.
So, just ready for it.
Tasteful
ready taters.
How many more days till baseball season? About 70 or so. We get the taters for the people.
God help me. I mean, woo.
Are you excited to forecast some baseball, Ralph?
I always love it for the first month or so. And then after a month, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm over it. When does the season end again? Oh, 9 months from now? Cool.
Chop, give me your feel it in the plums play. Feel it in the fries play. Who's taking on the slate tonight?
Yeah, so I don't want to I'd like to go a little bit off the radar and not the easy low hanging fruit, Dean, like some guys do. Not naming names here, but
name names.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I mean, Dean. Like I'm not telling you to
point to them on the screen. Who do you want to point to?
I'm not telling you to play Ronald Acuna for a home run here. Like you know this, man. Let's go a little bit off the radar. I'm not naming names. Sorry, I mean TJ's looking at me like
it's a guilty look.
That's the guilty look. Like I'm not saying TJ. So I'm gonna go Aaron Gordon here, Dean. Aaron Gordon off the radar.
That was Chopper. I was Dean. Do it that like button. As you still enjoy 28 minutes crunch time. The FanDuel sponsor crunch time. You got TJ Zwarych, as well as TastefulTides Tim, and Roth. Take it away.
Thanks. Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is crunch time. I'm going to take you up to lock. We got 28 minutes. We'll take you through lock as well. Going to walk through some FanDuel, walk through some DK, and we're joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got TastefulTides, Tim, in the house. What up, man?
Yeah, not much. Good to see you, Roth, and good to see TJ. This is a pretty interesting little 5-game slate. A lot of different ways that you can go about it. So I'm excited to break it down.
God, it's been a minute. Last time I saw you, I think you were half dead.
I apologize. I apologize for that. I thought I was ready to come back, and I was definitely not ready to come back.
I'm glad you are back and back to you. It's good to see you as you. We got TJ in the house as well. What up, TJ?
Not much. I don't know what is warranting all this slander coming my way as soon as I joined the show. Not even as soon as I joined the show, but before that even. I just enter the room, I figure I got lineups to build. Why listen to the show on YouTube when I can just hop on StreamYard and get here a little early? And as soon as I pop in here, they're already making fun of me. So I don't know what I did.
I don't think that was aimed at you. I don't think that was aimed at you.
That was.
I feel like you're taking it personal.
It wasn't aimed at me. It was aimed at Spider-Man, which
that's fair.
This guy spends all of his nights fighting crime, protecting the city of New York.
And giving home run calls.
Yes. And still, he gets no respect.
He gets dragged, man. It's a tough scene out there. Guys, we have 25 minutes, so I think we dive on into this. We like to start with fan. I don't know which one of you wants to do cash today, Tim. I assume that would be you.
I can do cash.
Yeah, definitely. Wonderful. All right, well, let's start with FanDuel. In fact, you could even zoom out a little more than that and just tell me what our overall situation is and maybe what we're waiting for as well.
Well, actually, we're really not waiting on anything, which is very bizarre. We've got all the news that we're going to get unless something goofy happens in the Los Angeles game late night. But I don't see that happening. We already have LeBron out. So that's the biggest news of the night. Understanding your exposures to the Lakers are really the key to this slate, in my opinion. We also have Tyrese Halliburton out for the Pacers, but that hasn't done a lot for a lot of guys outside of maybe TJ McConnell on FanDuel, where he's very, very cheap. But the big team, the big news is LeBron is out, and we're gonna get to a lot of Lakers in cash and GPP because they are cheap. And they are, they get a lot more usage without LeBron. So that's really the big thing on this slate.
I really enjoyed listening to the Crunch Time guys talk about their exposure to guys like Rui in particular, who is usually on my I'm not playing him list. And I thought, at high ownership, I'm definitely not playing him. And then I saw the price and I was like, crap, I'm probably playing him. I don't know. We'll walk through it. We'll talk through it. I'm excited to get your cash takes and then TJ's tournament takes as well. But let's start with a little FanDuel cash, Tim. Why don't you walk me through a build all the way through?
Okay, so point guard, D'Angelo Russell, 7,100. He's point guard, shooting guard eligible, so you're definitely putting him in one of those two spots in your cash games. That is a 100% must play in cash on FanDuel and DK. After that, you can go up to SGA if you have the money. He's 10.9. It's a little bit pricey, but if you can fit him, he's a fantastic play. TJ McConnell, 5,200. That's too cheap. He should play around, I'd say 25 minutes. We have him projected for 23. Okay. So that's enough to be cash game viable. So if you want the save,
we got this question from Anthony. Why did McConnell only play 12 minutes last game?
I don't know, other than it might have just been a random coach's decision. I don't think he got hurt. I don't think that's going to become a thing. So I'm not too concerned unless TJ has a different take on that. Do you TJ?
No, I don't know in particular, but my best guess would just be that there was nobody on the court that he could guard because Devin Booker is their point guard.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think TJ McConnell is cash game viable, at least on FanDuel. If you don't want to go that way, you could pay up a little bit more for like CJ McCollum or James Harden. For what it's worth, Roth, I really like Jalen Brunson tonight, but he's probably too expensive for cash games, but I think he's a fantastic tournament play. Moving over to shooting guard, Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. Austin Reeves should 100% be in your cash games this evening. So putting him at shooting guard or small forward. Like I said, Russell either needs to be in your point guard or your shooting guard spot. And then you have decisions to make. You can go Jalen Williams at 7,900. I think if you wanted to go Colin Sexton at 7,800. And then you also have these Clippers, Paul George and James Harden at 83 and 82. I prefer Harden over George, but it's super, super close. So those are kind of the guys that I'm considering at the shooting guard spot. And then small forward, again, if you're not playing Reeves at shooting guard, you have to play him at small forward. And then we get to the Rui situation. He's 100% has to be in your cash games. You do not have to play him in tournaments, but he's got to be in your cash games at 4,500. So whether you play him at small forward or power forward, that's up to your own lineup construction, but he's a must play in cash. Again, I really like Jalen Williams tonight at 7,900. I think he's cash game viable. And then again, the Paul George Kawhi situation. I think I like George a little bit more, but it's really close between those two. I think you've got to have one Clipper in cash. I think you got to have 4 Lakers in cash, and then 1 Clipper, most likely. So that's kind of the way that I'm going with my build on FanDuel. Power forward, again, it's you got to play Rui either at small forward or power forward, and then Zion Williamson at 7,700 is way too cheap. So he is an amazing point per dollar play. Utah really struggles with guys in the paint, so Zion should absolutely smash tonight. And then Anthony Davis, he's power forward center. He's probably going to be your 4th Laker. He should be your 4th Laker in cash games. So Reeves, Russell, Rui, and then AD. So those are really the guys that I'm prioritizing the most. Without no LeBron, it's gonna be AD's show. So
yeah.
And then center position, pretty interesting position tonight because you do have Jokic, but you can't play Jokic and Davis. So Jokic is great for tournaments for $700 more. You also have guys like Nick Claxton at 7,500, and then Chet. I love Chet tonight. Don't know if I can get up to him. The way that this sets up tonight, the pricing, I might just put Davis at center because there are cheap forwards on FanDuel to play. So I might build with Davis at center.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. If that's the weaker position, then that is the move. TJ, let's bring you in. Let's talk tournaments here. What's your game plan? You can either walk through it or you can start with Lakers, which I feel like is kind of the key thing to figure out here tonight.
Yeah, I'll start with Lakers. So on FanDuel, in terms of the Rui Hachimura conversation, I think it's different depending on the site. And so on DraftKings, he's just so cheap that it's really hard to imagine him full on failing at that price. So I'm fully okay with just plugging him in, even in tournaments. I do, though, have a rule, and I would make this rule on both sites. Maximum 1 Rui Hachimura, Taurean Prince, and Cam Reddish, because I do think, especially on FanDuel, where Cam Reddish is $200 cheaper and Taurean Prince is $100 cheaper than Rui Hachimura, they both make for great tournament pivots. Like Reddish projects pretty terribly, but I don't think it would be that out of the realm of possibility if he happens to be the one who plays 30 plus minutes today, or up there at 28th as opposed to 21 that we have him projected. I agree with that projection, but I think there's a lot of volatility in it. I think he could easily play upper 20 minutes. So I think he's somewhat interesting for tournaments. I think Christian Wood is somewhat interesting for tournaments, but maybe more on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, Anthony Davis, I think, is by far the top tournament play, coming in at projecting for 11.38% owned right now. That's just ridiculous. He should be 30%. And so I think he's by far the top option on FanDuel. I would also probably set a rule that I did do this on DraftKings, and I would on FanDuel as well. I want to play 1 to 2 of Reeves and Russell in every single lineup. I don't need both of them in every lineup, but I want at least one of them there because it's really hard to imagine one of them doesn't have a really great game in this situation here. The only people that we have projected that I'm fully Xing out are Max Christie and Jackson Hayes. Every other Laker is going to be in my lineup. The other main teams I'm going to be targeting the most is I agree with Tim. I like the idea of putting a run back in there from the Clippers. Paul George would probably be my favorite, but I also do love Mason Plumlee for tournaments. $5,300 on FanDuel. I think he makes for a great tournament pivot. So those would be my two favorites to run it back with. On the New Orleans side of things, I think there are some great tournament targets there. Zion is great. Everybody's going there, but Brandon Ingram is only $400 more here on FanDuel, and he's projecting for 3% ownership, where Zion is 43. So I think Ingram makes for a great tournament pivot there. Portland and OKC is a very interesting game. I like Chet Holmgren. I like Jalen Williams. I like Josh Giddey for tournaments. And then the Denver side of things is probably where I'm going to be looking to go next. I like their entire team. I agree with Tim. Jokic is a fantastic tournament play, coming in at projecting for less than 5% ownership right now. I saw a few questions too about in that same game, TJ McConnell in tournaments and like where to pivot. I don't think there's that many other great cheap options to pivot to at point guard. I think you just do something else. I think you just pay up there at the point guard position. But if you do want a somewhat straight line pivot or even cheaper, McConnell's projecting for almost 40% ownership, and he's coming off the bench. Andrew Nembhard is the starter. He's $500 cheaper, and he's projecting for 12% ownership. So I think that's the tournament way that you go there.
Very nice. Okay. Anything else you want to add here?
Position by position for me is basically the same on both sites. So no, we can pivot to DraftKings, and then I'll do it there.
That's fair. By the way, we should note this show is sponsored by FanDuel. If you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. If you are in the great state of Vermont, you now get access to the FanDuel Sportsbook as well. Special offer for you. Bet $5, get 200 bonus bets on any market. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up. Getting a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, Sims Lab read coming up. Sims Lab. Not sure which way I'm going to go today, but that read coming up as well. Get excited. Let's talk DK, Tim.
Yeah.
The difference here is we can play as many Lakers as we want, essentially.
Yeah.
Is it still 4 or is it more?
No, I think it's still 4.
You gotta have.
I think it's
4.
It's still 4. It's still 4. It's got to be Russell. It's got to be Reeves. It's got to be Rui
and AD,
and it's got to be AD.
Like, right, those are must play. Now I've seen some people asking about like a Christian Wood.
That's a great tournament play, but there's no way I'm telling people to play Christian Wood in cash. No, no shot. In tournaments or in single entry, sure, go for it. I'm considering actually playing him in my single entry team, but not my cash game. Not my cash.
All right.
So,
well, walk me through a DK build here.
Yeah, so Russell, you're definitely starting with Russell. Again, SGA is in a fantastic spot. Against Portland, he's only 10,000, which is way too cheap. I love Colin Sexton tonight. He's probably going to be my shooting guard in cash. But yeah, you can play at point guard also. I think Malcolm Brogdon is mildly interesting at 6,500. TJ McConnell is not a cash game play on DK, but he's okay for tournaments. Shooting guard it's gotta be Austin Reeves and or Colin Sexton on your team. So I think Reeves is obviously the priority, but I do like Sexton quite a bit. I think that Jordan Clarkson is a pretty strong play also, but probably just left for GPPs. Small forward. It's got to be Rui, right, in small forward or power forward, and then Jalen Williams is definitely a cash game play. Again, small forward, power forward eligible. If you have the money, you can go up to Kawhi and or Paul George. I prefer Paul George, but it's super, super close. So those are the guys that you can play if you have extra money. And then power forward, it's Rui and Jalen Williams. And then Zion is way too cheap on DK, just like he is on FanDuel. He's power forward eligible only. He's 7,400. I can't see a reason why you would fade him in cash. So, I mean, I think he is a must play in cash games this evening. And then, Anthony Davis is power forward eligible, but the center position is kind of weird. So, I'm probably going to play AD at my center position because I'm not going to be playing Jokic in cash, so I'm just going to play AD at center. There are other guys though too, like Mason Plumlee. If he gets those minutes that we haven't projected for, he should crush that $4,200 price tag. Same thing with Precious Achiuwa. He's an interesting pivot at power forward center at 4,200. You can play him in cash.
I've seen those two names quite a bit, and in fact, there's a question just came in. Would you go Precious or Plumlee? They're the same price on DK. You like both of those? Do you have a lean either way?
I like Precious because you can play him at the power forward spot. I feel a little bit more confident with Precious minutes also. So yeah, I prefer Achiuwa, but it's close. I mean, they're projected pretty much the same. So but I don't think I'd play Plumlee in cash, but I would play Precious.
Okay. Am I allowed to play J-Val in a tournament?
I mean,
yeah, but
probably. I'm not.
I just don't know the matchup. Like sometimes he gets the minutes and puts up 45 fantasy points, and then sometimes he doesn't, and he puts up 12.
That's a lot fewer and further between than it used to be too. For what it's worth, I'm playing 300 lineups. There was 2 different mini maxes, and so I'm max entering both of them. And I have no JV.
Okay, gonna go ahead.
What do you, TJ? What are you doing with John Collins and Walker Kessler? Anything?
I have a maximum 1 of Collins, Olynyk, Kessler, Fontecchio. And I have 7% Fontecchio, 7% Olynyk. Where's John Collins? 7% John Collins and 17% Walker Kessler.
Yeah, I really like Walker Kessler tonight, but it's no guarantee the minutes that he'll get. So
I do think they're actually going to end up starting him too. I think.
Oh, really?
Starting this game. Yeah, I bumped his projection up to 28 minutes.
Okay, because we have him for 23. If he gets 28, that's like that's huge. So he could absolutely smash in 28 minutes.
Yeah, I like him. I like him there quite a bit. If he ends up starting, I'll get him. I'll try and get more. That 17% is just kind of a hedge. But I do like him quite a bit today for tournaments. Point guard position, it's all about the Lakers. Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell. Like I said earlier, I have a rule. I want at least one of them in each lineup. Not max one, but at least one. So 1 to 2. SGA is my next highest owned guy. I got 20% of them. Then it's kind of just like a mix, like all in the 15% range. It's Jamal Murray, TJ McConnell, Colin Sexton, Josh Giddey. Then I have another crew all in about the 10% range. Jalen Brunson, CJ McCollum, Malcolm Brogdon, James Harden. Then 4 other players I'm sprinkling into MME that doesn't feel great, but I think there's upside in 2 of them, and the other 2 are just really cheap. So I have Cam Thomas and Anthony Simons in a small percentage of lineups because I think the upside is there, even though it's very volatile. And I have Reggie Jackson and Chris Dunn as a couple salary savers as well. Shooting guard position, you can play Austin Reeves there as well. I talked about Brandon Ingram on FanDuel. I like him a lot on DraftKings as well. He's the main Pelican guy who's not picking up any ownership, and I kind of always view McCollum, Zion, and Ingram as basically the same. And so when they're the same price but their ownerships aren't the same, I just want to get overweight on the guys who are lower owned. Clarkson and Sexton and Giddey, getting to these guys a decent amount. Paul George, Brogdon, getting to them. And then I do have some Cam Reddish, who I'm taking some tournament shots on as well, just in case. Like I said, I have max 1, Prince, Reddish, Hachimura. But I'm probably going to have one of them in each of my lineups. And so I have 17% Reddish to kind of counteract if my 60% Hachimura and 20% Prince fail. Well, I guess if 60% Hachimura fails, one of Prince or Reddish is probably going to have a good game. Small forwards, like I said, almost 60% Hachimura. And then Brandon Ingram, Lauri Markkanen, Jalen Williams, all Torian Prince, Cam Reddish, all in that 20-ish% range. I also really like OG Anunoby for tournaments today. His price keeps going down, and the ownership isn't really matching it today, so I like him a lot in tournaments. I like Paul George a lot in tournaments, and then Michael Porter Jr. is another guy I like getting to at very low ownership today in a great matchup against Indiana. At power forward, you can play Rui here as well. I really like Precious Achiuwa. We're projecting Jericho Sims to start today, but Precious Achiuwa is the big man I want for the Knicks. I really like him today. I think he's viable on FanDuel, but even better on DraftKings where he's nice and cheap. Anthony Davis, I'm getting a 40% of, want as much AD as possible. I think he's the top spend up on the slate. Zion's fine. Lauri's fine. Julius Randle, all good. Jalen Williams and OG, you can play here as well. The last guy I really want to mention, though, who I like quite a bit, is Aaron Gordon. He's seen his price go down quite a bit because he missed some time for injury, and so he's under 6K, and I think he is a great tournament play. At center, I'm getting some Achiuwa here, some Davis here. Christian Wood is a salary saver I like quite a bit, but I did make a rule, max 1, Anthony Davis and Christian Wood. Nikola Jokic, I'm trying to double the field on today. I got over 20%. I like Claxton and Holmgren in the mid-range, and then if I'm going cheap, I like Mason Plumlee and Walker Kessler as my 2 main options.
Okay. Very good, gentlemen. We have only 5 minutes until lock. Tim, is there anything you want to add before we open it up to QQs?
Nope, I think we're good for QQs.
Okay. I feel like I have a great build and I want to do 10 more lineups similarly, and I'm out of time. We're going to take questions instead because I love you guys. So let's jump into it. FanDuel GPP, who puts up more fantasy points, Tim, Joker or AD?
I mean, it's super close. It's could be Joker, but I still prefer the savings with AD.
Okay. Right back to you. FanDuel Cash 3v3, Tim. Harden, Randall, Sims, or Herb Jones, Clickety Clacks, and Paul George?
I think the first one.
Okay. TJ, how do we get different tonight? This is from Matt. How do we get different tonight? Don't play Lakers? I mean, you got to play Lakers. You can't just fade Lakers, right?
Yeah, I think you get different elsewhere out of the Lakers. If you really want to try and get different there, you play Prince or Reddish instead of Hachimura. But I think you still want to be playing, or you can just fade the cheap wings outright there and just play Russell, Reeves, and Anthony Davis. But I don't think you're looking to fade the Lakers outright. I think you're looking to get different elsewhere. A couple of those guys that I like at very low ownership today, Nikola Jokic, Brandon Ingram, Josh Giddey, Walker Kessler. So those are just some guys that I'm mixing in with the chalky Lakers who are coming in low on today.
Love it. Makes sense. All right, FanDuel Cash, Tim, Claxton, Kawhi, or AD and Nance?
Ooh, the first one.
And that means you don't have AD. right? In FanDuel
I know,
Cash.
but I'm not playing Nance in cash. So if you can find somebody better than Nance, I'd play AD in cash for sure.
Okay. DK Cash, Tim, I'm getting Claxton in DK Cash. Is that okay? And he also says SGA or AD for you.
Yeah, Claxton's absolutely fine for cash. He's our top rated point per dollar center. That's absolutely fine. What was the second part of that, Kevin?
It was SGA or AD.
For cash, it's AD.
Yeah. All right. DK Cash. What's all these cash questions happening here? Claxton or J Will?
That's tough. I prefer J Will. Projections say Claxton, but I'm playing J Will.
Okay. TJ is such a nice guy in the chat. It's true. TJ is a nice guy.
Thanks, Gridiron Beauties.
Yeah. He comes by it honestly. He's Canadian. And literally, have you ever met a not super nice Canadian? I haven't. They're all amazing. There's not even here we go. More cash. TJ, you're doing a cash question. Is Naismith and Nemart viable together in FanDuel Cash?
I don't really think so. I probably won't eat like maybe one of them as a last piece, but probably wouldn't want to play two of them there. It's a huge pace down spot for Indiana.
Yeah. All right. DK Cash, Tim, back to you. I don't have anybody in the 7 o'clock game, but it feels so wrong. Is there somebody that I should be playing?
I don't think you have to, especially on DK. I think FanDuel, it's a little bit easier. But on DK, I have no issue fading the first game at all.
Yeah. Okay. This is a DK Cash question. I think we got to this, but it's re-asked. SGA or AD in cash? I think it was AD for you, right?
It's AD, yeah.
Yeah. DK Cash, Brunson last piece.
Yeah, I guess so.
If it's where you land,
I guess it's okay.
Yeah. All right. I approve. He's obviously in my tournament build just for the bit.
Right.
Because when I win $1 million playing fantasy, he will be in my lineup. What else do we have here? TJ, here we go. Your favorite game stack in a DK GBP? That's a fun question. TJ, you can go first, and then Tides will get you too.
I still think it's the Lakers and Clippers. We're all going to be playing the Lakers, but I think the way to get a little bit different is throw in one of the big three, Harden, George, or Kawhi, my favorite being George, and also play Mason Plumlee as a salary saver at the center position.
Very nice. Tim, favorite game stack?
Yeah, I love the LA game, but if I'm not going to do that, my second one would be Utah and New Orleans.
Okay. I love this thought from my guy, Butthole Jenkins. Will Jokic try to one-up Embiid today? Embiid dropping a 70-piece. Is Embiid or is Jokic going to do like 30 assists or something to like one-up him in a different way?
I don't think there's any player in the NBA, in the entire NBA, that would care less about that kind of thing than Nikola Jokic. So no, I don't think he will try to. If he has a great game, it's just because he has a great game every other day. But the last thing I want to say for that game stack question in terms of GPPs, I think basically all of these games are game stackable, at least in like a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-2 stack, 3-to-1 stack. This is a small slate, and all of these games have game stack potential. Like just looking at OKC, well, we already want to play Jalen Williams and SGA, and they're both 25% owned. Chet Holmgren's a great play too. If they're going to reach their ceilings, it's because Portland keeps this game close. And if you look at the ownership on the Portland side of things, 5% Anthony Simons, 4% Jeremy Grant, 10% Malcolm Brogdon, and 0.05% Jabari Walker. These are all starters who are all viable. And so I think if you want that game to stay close to get your ceilings out of those OKC guys, run it back with some Jeremy Grant or some Simons, some Brogdon, even Jabari Walker if you land there. And I think that's a great game stack too.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. What do we have? I think there was one more. Yeah, we did pretty good. Pretty good. I want to give a shout out to Dean. Hopefully he hasn't, because I think yesterday I said, I'm playing Wemby no matter what. I'm playing Wemby. And I believe it was Dean in the chat who said, if you're playing Wemby, you have to run it back with either Embiid or Maxey. And I am pleased to say I did, but I am sad to say I chose Maxey. And I almost took it all down last night, but it was the right game theory. We were there. So Dean, I appreciate, where your head was at there. With that, I think we can bounce on out of here. So for Tim, for TJ, for our wonderful product. You good? We good, TJ?
I was going to make you do your SimLabs read.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, did you guys know that with the power of SimLabs, all the Sims, you can generate DFS lineups through the power of the simulation. It combines data from every aspect of the slate, churning out lineups to match your preferences. It only takes a few clicks. You can have hundreds of well-built correlated lineups ready to go, whatever contest type you're playing, and it now includes NBA. Try NBA SimLab for free. It's still in beta mode. Use the link in our description. Do it tomorrow because it's already locked. Special note, all combo and NFL premium subscribers will have access to NFL SimLabs. Damn it. SimLabs tool. It's just, I feel like we should rename it SimLab. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay. That's people smarter than me have decided that SimLabs is better, I guess. All right, we're going to get out of here. So for Tim, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.